welcome back to another episode of The Art of Unraveling. Thank you for being here. Thank you to those of you watching on YouTube. Today's episode, I want to talk about where we put our focus. Literally, we've lost touch. We've not been taught how extremely powerful we are as human beings. That literally where you put your precious energy and focus on, or your attention, I should say, where you put your attention is where your energy goes. So you really want to think about, like, what am I giving my energy to? And this was something that my, she's been a mentor of mine for a really long time. She brought up recently because we were kind of talking about, just the political landscape and all of that. And there's just so much tension there. And, people just get so opinionated and stuck on their way, and their beliefs are the only way when it comes to politics, and are just actually just completely unwilling to see anybody else's point of view. And I was kind of going off about a certain political issue, and she just kind of said, you're giving energy to that. And even though it's something I felt passionate about sharing, she was right. Like, I'm giving my energy over towards this thing that I have absolutely no control over. I just don't like some of the narratives that people get stuck on. And so I was kind of sharing that. But in that way, I was giving my energy to that thing. And that's not serving me. It's not serving my mission to be a light to help others. It's depleting my energy, which chronic fatigue has taught me, like, my energy is the most valuable resource I have. My health is the most valuable resource I have. I have to take care of it. And therefore, I want to not give my energy to things that are depleting. And politics is depleting. I'm not on either side of the political spectrum. I think, being on either extreme is, a very narrowed way to think. And so I land somewhere in the middle. And so my energy was being given towards talking about the extremes. So in and of that, I just wanted to dive in a little bit more into something I see, something we all do, that we're biologically wired to do, and that is to find the negative in situations. So again, what am I giving my energy to? Going off of that, you're also biologically wired to look for what's wrong, to look for what's not working, to look for problems, to focus on problems, because your nervous system wants to keep you safe. And sometimes I use the words nervous system, sometimes I use body and nervous system, sometimes I use brain. Those are kind of all interchangeable, because the body, brain, and nervous system are wired to, keep you alive for survival of the species. So, we have those same stress response systems that mammals do. And those are just to keep us alive. So when we're stuck looking for what's wrong, it's so that we can be aware of any threats, be prepared, etc., etc. But the issue with that, as we know, is that it can keep us narrow-minded. And then what I'm doing essentially with my precious energy from a higher perspective is focusing it on the things I don't want, focusing it on the problems of the world, say the political situation in our country. Or maybe you're focused on your weight and how you're overweight, and you just can't stop thinking about, I have a client, she said, every time I walk by a mirror, I'm saying the nastiest things about my body and myself. Maybe you're focused on your debt. Maybe you're focused on a lack of confidence, or, a lack of, a toxic relationship, or not having a relationship. It's like, wherever you're focused, that's where you're giving your energy. That's where you're giving your power. And again, we don't realize it's just a common, natural human thing that we focus on what isn't working so that we can try to fix it, so that we can rewire it, so that we can, take ourselves, make ourselves better. get ourselves out of a threat. And this is a lot of what is wrong with the coaching, the healing world too, is we're given this notion that we've got to fix all these things. And while I am all about, and slightly biased because I am a coach and healer, while I'm all about getting support and to guide you through these things, because we're limited in what we know, we're limited in our own life experiences and what we can do. We're limited by our thoughts and our beliefs. So having a support system is great, but it becomes a problem when we're focused on all the fixing and we're not actually, which in essence is the problem, right? If you're focused on fixing things, then that means you're focused on problems that need to be fixed. Think about that. If you're focused on fixing things, that means you're focused on problems that need to be fixed, which means you're giving your energy, back to the very beginning of this podcast, you're giving your energy to problems. So we want to start shifting towards more of a solution-based thinking. You know, if an issue comes up, saying, what did I learn from this? How is this helping me? How did this support me in some way? Instead of going, I've got to fix this, I've got to change this, I've got to make this better, this isn't working for me, and we stress and we worry about it. Or, you know, a lot of times with clients and people I work with, I see them really beating themselves up for feeling a certain way. Like, we did a Reiki training recently, and whenever you attune to the next level in Reiki, it creates kind of this effect in your body where the stuff that isn't working for you starts to get broken up, because you're essentially asking to be a vessel to hold more light. Well, the light can't be held when there's emotional distress or toxicity in the body. And so it starts to break up some of this stuff. And so people can have some, you know, kind of emotional experiences afterwards, maybe a little bit of crying or, you know, just being more emotional than usual. And we had a client reach out saying, you know, give me some tools to move through this. Like, I feel stuck. I can't be this way. I have a big trip coming up. And she was in a lot of distress for how she was feeling. And I completely understand that, you know, especially if you're traveling to another place in another part of the world, which she is. She didn't want to feel that way on her vacation. So I get not wanting to feel a certain way, but what I challenged her to do was to thank her body for releasing the stuff that she no longer needs. And even though it's making her feel a little overwhelmed and chaotic in the moment, it will pass. It's the body releasing stuff in her particular case. Okay, it can vary person to person. But we really, like, when I'm focused on the problem of, gosh, I always feel tired, you know, like when I had chronic fatigue, this is a really great example. I felt so tired all the time. And then I was just so focused on fixing the problem of being tired, getting every supplement under the sun, spending thousands of dollars on supplements or healing techniques or doctors or this thing or that thing, you know, whatever anybody told me to do. I was so focused on fixing the problem that I wasn't listening to my body that was simply just trying to tell me, hey, dude, slow down a little bit. We're kind of tired over here. We just need to rest. And you're still thinking and going, even in your mind, when you're laying down to rest. So, like, just, we miss the power that lies in the present moment when we're focused only on the problem. The problem kind of puts you almost in a survival mode state, right? Like an anxious, fixated state, which is part of that stress response system. And when we're in a survival state, as I've said before, you can't be creative to the solution, right? You shut your creativity down. You shut clarity down. You shut all of these very important things that you need in times of crisis or problems. You shut those things down by going, I gotta get this figured out, and like going into overwhelm about it. Plus, as I said before, where you put your attention is where you give your energy. So you're giving all of your powerful energy to the thing you don't want to be giving it to. So I really recommend, taking some time to get out of that fix-it mode. And, whether that means, like, I like to place my hand on my heart, my right hand on my heart, and just close my eyes, focus on my breath. Maybe focus on my feet touching the carpet, or focus on the chair that's holding me up right now. Like, bring it into your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? What do you feel? If you can bring it into your senses, that will help bring you into the present moment, or focusing on your breath. Because in that panic, you're not going to be successful at finding a solution. And then lastly, like, if you're somebody that's just really focused on a lot of the things that are going wrong, right? Like, maybe, on a self-care level, like if you're focused on your weight, or not being good at certain things, or feeling not good enough, or not having confidence, it's also really helpful to start building up your internal resources of strength and confidence in yourself. And this takes time if you've been really low on that totem pole. But if you take your right hand to your heart and just close your eyes and just maybe share like some things you're proud of yourself for. And it could be something big from your past, something big from your recent past. Maybe it was like, I graduated from college. Maybe it's, I created my own business. Things that like you maybe just do, but you've taken for granted of, and like you're just kind of focusing on what's next and what the next thing you need to do and the next thing you need to solve. And you're not really taking resource of all the things you've done, right? So take a moment and think about those things, and think about small things too. Like, I'm proud of myself for being polite to my kids even when I wanted to yell. I'm proud of myself for parenting in a way that is helping my kids become stronger emotionally than I was growing up. I'm proud of myself for all the work I've done to heal my issues with XYZ. I'm proud of myself for taking a nap today, because that was really hard and I don't usually like to do that. Whatever it is, right? So you can think about big things you've done. You can also think about, make sure though, as well, that you also think about simple things that happen in just the day-to-day basis. Those are the ones we want to take stock of, because they're happening and we're not crediting ourselves enough. And then we're focusing on what's not good about ourselves, and that's not helpful. So after you say what you're proud of yourself for, you can get up, shake it out, dance it out, and just kind of bring in a little bit of vibrancy, a little bit of energy into your system. And if you want any help with this, or you want kind of like some guided work with this, I have my release method class. It's only $11 online. Just shoot me a message until I get it up on my website. It's not there yet, but you can get different classes that I've done that are all that you can keep for as long as you want. You'll have access to them, and yeah, it's a great way to kind of move energy and like start bringing the energy back to you. I'm also going to start having monthly master classes, which will give you a lot of tools and techniques. And I have a group program coming up to really help you go from putting so much pressure on yourself to really stepping into more pleasure, joy in your life. And I work with clients one-on-one to do this work as well. So reach out to me. There is support here to help you. In the meantime, turn those thoughts around. When you find yourself fixating on things, focusing on problems, ask, what is the good in this situation, and what solution can I focus on here? Like, what good is happening from this? instead of, I've got to fix this, I got to figure this out, I've got to make this shift. I don't like this. I don't like this feeling. I don't like this behavior. I don't like this action. I don't like this situation, right? Instead, it's like, well, what's good about this? What is this showing me about myself? What is this teaching me? What can I learn from this? Why is this happening right now, do I really think? What does it want to express to me? If it were a person, what would it want to say? I mean, you can ask it the question 45 different ways, but the point is to take a moment to place your hand on your heart, go within, and really ask what might be there really. All right, I hope this was helpful. Message me. There's ways to do that below this video or below this podcast. If you want to have access to any of my programs or work with me one-on-one, I'd be more than happy to talk with you about that. So thank you for being here, and I hope to see you next time.